Following the success of the 2007 dramedy Juno, following a strong-minded teenage girl dealing with pregnancy, writer Diablo Cody was given the opportunity to make a film with similar themes to ride on the coattails of Juno. She decided to write a feminist horror film, and the result was the 2009 film Jennifer's Body, directed by Karin Kusama, about a teen girl whose best friend is possessed by an evil demon and is transformed into a succubus. Ironically, most feminists outright despise it, finding it sexually objectifying and promoting hatred of women. I am one of the few feminists who like this movie at all. There is a feminist story in there, hiding underneath a bunch of junk. It's got tons of problems, but it's also got some good points. Join me as I explore them. It starts with a fairly typical horror movie setting with a teen girl, Jennifer, played by Megan Fox, in bed, looking vulnerable as a mysterious girl stalks her. A narration by the protagonist Needy, played by Amanda Seyfried, informs us that
Hell is a teenage girl.
And we cut to the present where Needy is a prisoner in a mental institution for the criminally insane. Despite being a waifish teenage girl, it's implied that she's a violent killer, and we see all sorts of nasty scars on her. She talks about how she tries to follow people's advice to become a Christian to make everything better, but she finds praying ineffective. I like this kind of down-to-earth pro-atheism modern storytelling. Sure, God and the devil exist in universe, but there's still a friendliness to atheists in the real world. She takes comfort in her role as the scary girl no one wants to mess with. When a nice lady annoys her with nutrition advice, she reacts way over the top and kicks her with superhuman force. She is, in fact, a vampire slayer, tasked with defending the world from vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. Oh, wrong show. I should interject about the race politics. The casting has the usual racism where the main roles go to white actors, and only roles on the periphery go to people of color. Thus, the biggest roles for people of color are an annoying classmate, demon chow, and a nice nurse who gets her teeth knocked out by a white girl just to establish the latter's violent personality. Though it seems like the best solution is for allowance of stories written with a focus on characters of color, I think Jennifer's Body could have had some of its more central characters cast to actors of color. The two core characters are the best candidates for this, preferably Needy, as Jennifer has high sexualization and aggression, traits negatively stereotyped of people of color. If Needy were black, for instance, her aggression against the black nutritionist wouldn't have the same awkward racial aspect as it does now. Needy is sent to solitary, where she narrates the story of how she got to this place in her life. This makes up the bulk of the film. The story is set in the fictional town of Devil's Kettle, associated with real-world Minnesota landmark Devil's Kettle Falls, a waterfall that, in addition to defeating Lake Superior, branches off into a mysterious cauldron where water sinks down thousands of feet and never emerges. Scientists throw all sorts of things down there and it never comes up anyplace else, or so they tell the tourists. It's a fun place for a horror film. The town embraces the local mystery with a high school team called the Devils. At this point in the story, everyone's normal. Needy is a, needy girl who's best friends with school alpha female Jennifer. Girls often have intense friendships that border on lesbian infatuation, and it's sometimes hard to tell one from the other.
We're totally lesbi-gay.
Needy and Jennifer are both indicated to be bisexual, and their friendship is based on underlying sexual attraction. It's also abusive. The title Jennifer's Body has a triple meaning. The first meaning is the sexual innuendo. She's hot. People want her body. The second meaning is the demon reference. Her body gets possessed by a demon, and a demon starts walking around in her body. The third meaning is in reference to the song Jennifer's Body by Hole, an alternative feminist rock group, which describes an abusive relationship and seemingly inspired parts of the movie plot. The theme of an abusive relationship is carried over to Needy and Jennifer. Jennifer and Needy talk about their plans for the night. Jennifer wants to go to a trashy club to see a band called Low Shoulder because she thinks their lead singer is attractive. Needy already has plans to hang out with her boyfriend Chip, played by Johnny Simmons. But Jennifer doesn't like Needy having a life that doesn't revolve around her, so she persuades Needy to go to the club with her.
Wear something cute, okay?
Okay.
Needy explains to the viewers that this means something that doesn't compete with her sex appeal. The scene has this literal meaning of two girls going to pick up boys, but there's also a lesbian subtext where Jennifer makes Needy give up her date with a boy to go on a date with her. Chip watches her get ready for the night and offers suggestions on her outfit. Here we get into a problematic, slut-shaming part of the movie. Jennifer is emotionally manipulative, insulting, and rude, all of which make her a nasty character. But because American Puritanism runs deep, all of her badness is associated with her being more sexual than an indistinct arbitrary standard, and the viewers consider her trash because of her sexuality. Chip represents a better sexuality, and he warns Needy away from emulating Jennifer's bad sexuality.
This is my rock look.
Well, I can see, like, your womb, so...
I guess slut-shaming wasn't intended by the creators. They wanted Jennifer's sexuality to be empowering, but it fits into popular horror film storytelling, and we can't really divorce Jennifer's body from the language of cinematic storytelling. Even Joss Whedon's subversive Cabin in the Woods movie could only work with what storytelling techniques were already present. Creator intent just doesn't matter in a situation where the creators can't communicate properly through the work, and we have to use death of the author for proper analysis of what they actually made. The whole slut-shaming aspect is bad, but on the other hand, it's nice that Chip as a boy could represent the sentiment of a good domestic life. That typically is only seen with a girl to a boy, as with Audrey to Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors. That we see a gender reversal in Jennifer's body indicates a shift away from the more rigid gender roles, both with boys now being allowed to be morally anchoring love interests, and girls allowed to be fully realized protagonists. That in itself makes Jennifer's body have feminist value. Needy and Chip start to undress, but Needy announces that Jennifer has arrived, seconds before Jennifer actually announces her presence. It's framed as a joke, like the two of them have some secret girl connection, but the truth is that they have some kind of psychic link that is never actually explained. Chip urges her to stand up for herself and not just do what Jennifer says all the time, but Needy insists that there's no problem. They're just best friends forever. When we see the two of them playfully shove each other, though, Jennifer actually hurts Needy without a second thought. It's an abusive relationship, and Chip is our voice of reason. They go to the trashy club. Jennifer flirts with a bunch of guys while Needy tags along.
Swimmers.
As Low Shoulder sets up, Jennifer drags Needy over to flirt with them. When Needy resists, Jennifer gives her a pep talk about how she needs to see guys not as something intimidating, but as food to be consumed. Obviously, this is a reference to her literal cannibalism post-possession, but it also indicates how she completely disrespects people she's attracted to in a manner similar to the stereotypical skirt-chasing boy. This kind of has the potential for a feminist story somewhere in it. It's not exactly used well, though. She then grabs Needy's bust and declares these a source of a woman's true power over men. Aside from being lesbian subtext, Jennifer expresses a very sexist idea that reinforces assumptions about men holding power by default, women existing solely for men's pleasure, and women being secretly more powerful in society by underhandedly manipulating men's sexual drives. Misogynists hold this exact same worldview.
She knows she's the one with the real power.
What power?
Well, the same power that all women have.
On the other hand, I'm not sure the degree to which we take Jennifer seriously. She appears like over-sexual trash. She also does resemble a certain nasty type of girl that I would characterize as sociopathic, and girls of this type will often seek success through such underhanded ways. They don't respect themselves in the same way as most women. That said, this movie doesn't invite a very nuanced consumption of its content. We're pretty much just ogling Jennifer and taking in what she says at face value.
These are like smart bumps, okay? You point them in the right direction and shit gets real.
They go over to the band and meet Nikolai, Low Shoulder's hot lead singer. He is obviously a bad guy. Jennifer goes to get him a drink, and Needy overhears him talking about how he wants Jennifer because he reads her as a virgin. Needy tries to stick up for Jennifer by claiming she is a virgin, and that's much better than hanging out with those two, and in doing so signs her death warrant. Needy tells Jennifer to avoid him, and Needy decides that they'll just enjoy their outing together. Low Shoulder plays some terrible song called Through the Trees. And they hold hands. Needy feels hurt when she sees Jennifer still eyeing Nikolai and not being satisfied with Needy's company. In the middle of the show, the place goes up in flames. Diablo Cody says, "Evil is in the house." People everywhere burn to death, but Needy helps Jennifer get out safely. And Jennifer's out of it for some reason. The script implies that Nikolai hypnotized her with his song like he's a siren, but the film itself doesn't offer any explanation. I just figured it was shock combined with her being stupid. Later, I assumed that Nikolai roofied her or something. I mean, why is Jennifer affected but not Needy? A siren song is not communicated at all. If there was something in the plot indicating that Nikolai has siren powers, that would be interesting. Sirens are almost exclusively presented as female. This is basic sexism about men being the main actors in the world while women are acted upon, and the men get distracted by beautiful women who have power only in that they have the ability to affect men. It's basically the same sexist philosophy that Jennifer expresses. There's a good reason why succubi and sirens are closely associated with each other. If done properly, a male siren figure associated with rapist imagery could make a meaningful contrast with Jennifer using her body to get her way as part of feminist storytelling. Alas, we neither have a proper male siren nor proper storytelling. As Needy and Jennifer take a breather, Nikolai pops up looking totally guilty of arson, and he persuades Jennifer to come check out his van.
It's dangerous out here. You want to head someplace safer like my van? I'm in survival mode right now, and I want us to get to a familiar place. And right now, I feel like that's my van.
He's very obviously a bad guy, and it seems like the big joke is that Jennifer doesn't realize what a bad idea this is. I think it would have been better if they explicitly said that Nikolai did something to her to make her compliant. As it is now, it can easily be read as Jennifer just being too stupid and sexual to recognize obvious evil. While Nikolai is consistently portrayed as a predator, we don't really respect Jennifer as a victim, and that is a problem. No matter how nasty she is, a girl in a state of victimization should receive full respect. We see that in real-world rape scenarios, where victims are often disrespected with similar dehumanizing portrayals of stupid sluts who deserve it.
She said the following: I had no control. I didn't tell anyone to take my clothes off and do what they did to me. Now, she's been mocked by her peers. They've been making fun of her. They've been posting pictures on social media, doing poses as if they're laying in a bed drunk after they've been raped. And so she is feeling terrible about this, not only because she's being mocked by her peers, but because the boys who were involved in this assault have not been charged at all.
So this is the ones where they make fun of her. Ha ha, remember when she got raped, it's so her fault and it's so funny. And it's called #JadaPose.
Nikolai is not a literal rapist, but he and his creepy van are used deliberately to evoke rape as part of this joke about him being obviously evil.
Did you get the make and model?
I don't know, Chip, an 89 rapist?
And depictions of rape, even in the vague sense, need to be done with great care because of the attitudes around it. Needy tries to save Jennifer, but she rejects Needy because she wants to have sex with Nikolai. She gets in his creepy van, and this is the last Needy sees of her pre-possession. Depending on your point of view, this could be the last that she sees of her, period. Needy goes home and calls Chip. He's concerned for her when he hears about the fire, but he doesn't care about Jennifer potentially being in danger. He imagines that because Jennifer's trashy and Low Shoulder seems like a bunch of douchebags, that any kind of sex between them would be a consensual hookup, as a matter of fact. It plays into the idea that slutty girls are unrapeable, which is sexist and promotes rape. Due to the nature of the film, we understand that Low Shoulder are bad guys, but Chip still commands audience respect as the down-to-earth voice of reason. If Nikolai weren't coded as obviously evil, and if we weren't following Needy, I think we'd find him compelling. Even with the plot cues indicating that Jennifer is in trouble as part of the closure of the first act, I think we only care about her because we're following Needy, and don't like to see her upset. Possessed Jennifer then breaks into Needy's house. The reason for this is unclear. Though she's creepy, she doesn't seem to want to harm Needy. My personal interpretation is that she cares about Needy on the level of a valued possession, and she wants to make sure that she's okay as a way of grounding herself after her traumatic possession. She later presents this as her making sure Needy is okay because she cares about her and she's such a good friend, but that is not a trustworthy account. She pops up behind Needy all bloody. Needy asks what happened, and she gives this creepy, wicked grin, like the Grinch. You know, if the Grinch were a hot teenage girl.
Did anyone else just go to a scary visual place?
Oh, yeah.
Diablo Cody describes this as representing girls who are happy when boys abuse them, which has some potential for feminist storytelling, but it really just comes across as Jennifer being scary now. She devours a cold chicken, roars, and then vomits up what I think is the black liquid from Prometheus. Needy finally makes the connection that Jennifer is some kind of predator now, and then the lesbian subtext stops being subtext, as Jennifer corners her and gets off on her fear. She asserts dominance and then leaves Needy to cower in terror. Pieces of Jennifer.